Okay. Well, for those who have tuned in to have a listen and a watch of what we're doing here, so welcome. My name is Laurie. I'm the founding director of Teachers and Nurses Mortgage and Finance Company, which we affectionately call TNMF. And we are here today with the lovely Joe from Own Home. And he's down in the Melbourne studios here. And Joe, you brought the Sydney weather with you, hot and humid for this time of year. We've also got my business partner, James. And we're here to have a bit of a chat today about who we are, what we do, and our relationship with Own Home.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Laurie. So just for anyone that doesn't know me, name's Joe, as Laurie mentioned. I work for Own Home as a national business development manager. Been in the finance industry for around 10 years or so now. So I've worked for a lot of institutions, some great ones, some not so great ones. But what has really attracted me to Laurie and James is their business mission and what they're looking to achieve within the finance industry. I believe it's something quite new and innovative. So I really want to dig down into that today and get the most from you guys.
Yeah,
Does that sound
thanks. Yeah,
awesome?
yeah.
So what everyone would notice is there's a little red house or little red roof house in there with big eyes that Laurie enthusiastically wears around the streets, waving at everyone. So, a question for you, Laurie:
Yeah.
who essentially is TNMF? What do you guys stand for?
TNMF, Teachers and Nurses Mortgage and Finance Company, started its life out after my experience of working with a mutual that I actually wanted to expand upon, I guess, their mission and purpose. And then as we had more discussions with people around what we wanted to do, we realized that we were kind of restricting ourselves and also potentially setting um, a message that only certain customers we could only deal with certain customers. So we broadened our branding. So we now have two brands, which is Education, Healthcare, Mortgage and Finance, which basically brings broking to spaces which are traditionally looked after by some of the mutual banks.
Yep.
And we also introduced Community Builders Mortgage and Finance. And that's sort of drawing on my experience working for a well-known community bank organisation, and again bringing that whole component of mortgage broking and providing choice, and uh, and still being able to support community and community building through through our activities as brokers. And one of the things that I guess as a result of my studies last year showed me is that 76% of all mortgages in Australia are now introduced by a broker.
Correct.
So it is obvious Australians want choice. But then it comes down to there's things like there are restrictions because most of the banks are pretty similar in terms of what they can offer. So as a broker, we have the ability to be able to source solutions that most banks can't directly, and that's where I guess partnerships with Own Home are really important. Um, but yeah, primarily our focus is around really wanting to engage with communities and not just take, but to give back as well.
Just to
Awesome.
interject, for the people who don't understand what community banks or mutual banks are, do you want to give a bit of a rundown as to what that
Okay,
actually is?
so most people would be familiar with, and I'm not going to speak disparagingly about them. They've done a great job in bringing banking into regional and rural areas, which is Bendigo Bank and its community banking program. They've done an awesome job there, and so the community banks are basically franchises of the larger Bendigo Bank organisation. And Bendigo, we love you. You brought out Bendigo Broker. We love you. Um, and then you've also got the mutual banks. Now, mutual banks used to be, for the most part, credit unions and building
Correct.
societies, and they're customer owned. And some of them are industry focused. Some work exclusively with teachers or police or nurses or even just their local communities. But because of changes in banking laws, they've all become banks. Here we are talking about accommodation and security, and you can hear construction work taking place. So we're going to just embrace it and roll
This
with
is
it.
the thing.
So
So
we
why don't
either
we?
we give to charities
Yep.
directly, or we bank it to give it out as a grant. And if,
All right.
well, to resume where I was saying, part of also the inspiration um, for what we're doing in terms of establishing this middle ground was part of, again, referring back to my studies that I completed last year, discovering that at around about the year 2000, there were about 120 building societies or credit unions, which um, have transitioned across to becoming mutual banks, customer-owned organisations. But due to consolidation and shutting down and demutualisation, there's less than 60 left. So what's going to happen is that through consolidation, we're going to see eventually emerging a mega mutual bank, and I can only see individual communities no longer getting the same focus that they once got because they're going to be competing with so many other
Yeah.
interests. And this is why, as we scale and grow this business, we want to be able to say, people of Knox, what's important to you? People of Terralgan, what's important to you? People of Alingamite, what's important to you? Not just what's important to the
Perfect.
bank.
Just on that, Laurie.
Yep,
So look, that's a huge drop in number
yep,
that we're talking about.
yep,
120 down
yep,
necessarily half that we're
yep.
looking at now. In your opinion, has there been any specific drivers of this big drop in recent
Okay.
years?
Well, there's been changes in banking laws. Um, And that would primarily be the reason for the consolidation and demutualisation. The other side of it is the big four banks, God love them, because of their sheer marketing scale, that they have outcompeted some of these customer organisations on the basis of cashbacks. The
Yes.
smaller banks simply can't compete,
Yep.
and it's changed borrower behaviour.
Yep.
And that's actually one thing we don't actually indulge in cashbacks. We don't. The reason being is because of, and we'll get into it in a minute, because of the way our business operates, we could not be sustainable if a client was refinancing every 6 months.
Yep.
So our client base is that community focused person who wants to partner with us as much as we want to partner with them.
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. No, that
So
makes complete sense.